felt it too, though.
Yeah.
You felt like it felt like it was going 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah.
And then you kind of lose track of where you are.
I count it in your head that way. It's like
Yeah.
everything else. It's like all of a sudden I'm like, I couldn't get off get into the.
This would have been something 20th century composer did. Charles Ives would have done it to make the orchestra sound like two different groups playing. So he was the one who, he had a musical composition at a parade where a band marches by and another band marching by. So he had part of the orchestra playing, he had the rhythm arranged so that it would sound like a certain meter, and then they were in a certain key. And then as their part said diminuendo, softer and softer, another group with a completely different set of rhythms, so it sounded like a march, but maybe a different tempo, and then a different key would get louder and louder. And it's funny, but when you play a record of that, I remember when I taught high school, the students were, oh, that's horrible, how could he write anything like that? And I told my marching band, I said, you've been to parades. When one band passes and the other one's coming, there's a moment where you're hearing both of the pieces at the same time. Does the crowd go, oh, I can't stand it, it's good because no. It's just, you accept the fact that it's, you know, it's just when you're listening to the CD, there's nothing visual, and you're just hearing it at the same time. But I told them, you know, it's no worse than real life at a parade. And that's kind of what it was going for. Say maybe if technology, if they could do a better stereo or something, have one of the bands, I don't know, do a pan thing where you actually hear it moving like this and another one like this. But 20th century, which is what we're getting into here, the composers were just looking for things that had not been done before. They were looking at the art world. The art world had stopped painting trees and flowers and bowls of fruit, and they had just colors and textures. And so the musicians said, well, why can't we write pieces that are colors? There's no melody, no harmony. There's just this color of the French horn, color of whatever. So they were looking at rhythm and at anything that would kind of shake up the romantic, late romantic listeners and say, no, this is a new period. This is something completely new. But this is something, I don't know, you could imagine, I could imagine trying to get these two rhythms to come together the same way at the end it was supposed to go all together. I could see maybe, I don't know, a scale moving in each one, and then at the end they come together and make solatido or something like that. And so you'd actually hear the two rhythms come together at the same time. They form maybe a harmony or whatever. So it is an interesting thing. This is not a bad thing. It's just, it makes the performer have to think differently than they had before. Before they're all, you know, we're all playing together, and I know that my part's right because everybody else in the band is playing the same thing. And now you don't have that. It's like, I can't be doing it right because I'm doing the same thing as somebody else. So now it must be wrong. Number 2. (5/8). Is this a 3 plus 2 or a 2 plus 3?
2 plus 3 plus 2.
So we have two different opinions so far. Anybody want to break the tie?
3 plus
3 plus
2.
2. All right. Nobody say anything else. The tie is broken. It's 3 plus 2. So if you look at the top line, you see how the first 3 are grouped together and then 2. So the lower line, you might think that could be a 3 plus 2. It could, but also it could be a 2 plus a 3. So you maybe look at the second measure of the lower line to see. Yeah. Each time they kind of define where that fourth beat is, where those last lines are. This one shouldn't be too bad. It's an 8th note. So top line, we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Bottom line, we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the 8th note getting the beat. So try these 3, the upper part, these 3, the lower part. We'll all clap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. good.
70% that time. I kept my eye on it, we were in.
I'm getting the impression it's going very well until somebody just gets lost. It's not that they're not reading. We're all doing very well, and then it's like, okay, where am I? And then you don't know when to come back in.
When I get to 4, I just want to turn and start at 1 again. That's my problem. And I'm happy. So I count to 4, I'm going to go from 1.
Well, don't count to 5. Just pulse, just do pulse. Or you could break it up. We said this is 3 plus 2, so think 1, 2, 3, 4. No, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And then you don't have to get to 4. But what we're kind of doing is we're feeling it more than we're counting it. You can count it if you get confused, but you don't really have to. We've counted so much for 2 years now that we're ready to let our subconscious count it for us. Do you want to trade parts or just, is that our?
Yeah, let's do trade parts.
Trade parts, okay, then lower part and upper part. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think the lower part is a little harder to count.
Yeah.
Next, get harder as we go, which you're supposed to.
Oh man, we have to switch pages.
Okay, is the upper, that's the lower line. Quarter note gets the beat.
So we got number 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's both.
Does anybody see what the form is, or at least how they're starting it? What's the relationship to the first part to the second part?
3 to 2. Oh yeah.
So it's like a canon. At least it starts there. It doesn't continue. It starts out.
We switch pages?
Yeah, we go to the next page.